Some big news out of the Nasdaq this morning. As part of its larger goal of combating financial crimes, Nasdaq is buying Verafin, a leading anti-financial crime management solutions company, for $2.75 billion in cash. For more details on the deal, we're joined now by Adena Friedman, President and CEO of Nasdaq. It's a fairly large acquisition. As I understand it, this is second only to what other acquisition the Nasdaq made, Adena?
Well, back in 2008, we bought OMX, which is the market operator in the Nordics. And in fact, that acquisition also has the market technology business that now has become a big part of who we are today.
So at this point, software as a service, SaaS, as part of Nasdaq, you've wanted to get into that business and expand and diversify. So it's 21% in 2016. 29% this year. This is going to accelerate your efforts towards half the company eventually, and by 2025 being involved with this.
Yeah, in fact, at our Investor Day last week, we talked about the fact that our SaaS revenue is about $440 million today. And now with Verafin, we are looking at over $550 million that we're going into 2021 with. And the fact is that Verafin is a technology that is trying to solve a big problem in the industry. The banks spend about $42 billion trying to combat financial crime. And we, Nasdaq, already provide technology in our surveillance business that really tries to root out market manipulation and insider trading and other nefarious activities in the markets with the broker-dealers. And Verafin really focuses in on money laundering and other fraud schemes that occur within the banks. So going forward, we now have a chance to really provide a comprehensive suite of solutions to the banks and brokers in a space that's growing at about 17% a year. So we're very, very excited about being able to be a real problem solver in the industry with Verafin.
Yeah, and you could have a lot of banks as clients that weren't clients before, I can imagine. But what I got excited about was you see a lot of order flow, and you can see all kinds of stuff going on, but who knows what's really happening. So for money laundering, there's patterns, I think, that can be evident through machine learning.
That's correct.
And it's all really sort of high tech, and I can't imagine the code that needs to be written. But with all the input, the data that you have with all these transactions, you could see patterns of money laundering that wouldn't be apparent. And there's a lot of money laundering that goes on.
That's correct. And that's actually really what Verafin's really terrific at. They have 2,000 banks that they provide the solution to today across North America. And one of the great things about the U.S. is they actually allow for some level of data sharing across banks. So Verafin's been able to create a great network effect where they are able to look across banks to understand networks of behavior patterns as you set up behavior. They do use machine learning to be able to root out those patterns, as do we in our surveillance business. And so that's the next frontier of really combating financial crime, is being able to use the big data that's available and in the markets and in the banks to be able to find changes of behavior and things that really are, the behaviors that really underlie money laundering, fraud schemes, as well as market manipulation and other nefarious behavior.
Yeah, financial crimes. I think of that a little bit differently than money laundering. I think there's some other crimes that go into the money that needs to be laundering, which is fascinating. So I guess, you're talking about cartels, you're talking about terrorist organizations, you're talking across the board. $2 trillion worth of money is laundered through the financial system annually, and we spend almost that much trying to stop it. It's nutty.
Yeah, first of all, the regulators have really put the banks on the front lines of solving this enormous problem. And you're talking things like drug trafficking, child trafficking, as you said, cartels, terrorist behaviors. And the banks are really sitting there working so hard. They spend about $42 billion trying to address this issue. And what Verafin does is really bring the best of technology to it. They're a software as a service business. They actually provide weekly releases to their clients to make sure that they're staying up with the regulatory trends or new patterns that they're seeing, new functionality that they can offer the banks to make it so that they're better equipped on the front lines to be able to solve this problem.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.